Good morning. We're now to chapter 6 on page 11 of the Ching as translated by Thomas Cleary. And our first chapter begins the Valley Spirit. The Valley Spirit not dying is called the mysterious female. The opening of the mysterious female is called the root of heaven and earth. Continuous, on the brink of existence, to put it into practice, don't try to force it. So let me read that again. Chapter 6, the Valley Spirit. The Valley Spirit is not dying. The Valley Spirit not dying is called the mysterious female. The opening of the mysterious female is called the root of heaven and earth. Continuous, on the brink of existence, to put it into practice, don't try to force it. So this is a rather mysterious chapter until one becomes familiar with it and some of the symbolism within it. In the I Ching mandalas, or the I Ching period, there is a constant balance and interplay between the yin and yang, between positive and negative, between the creative and the receptive, the assertive and the receptive. And so this as much of the Tao Te Ching does refer back to those very, very powerful symbols, that very first binary code, actually, that we know of in humanity. So let's take it a couple of lines at a time. The Valley Spirit not dying is called the mysterious female. So the Valley Spirit, a valley is open. And here it refers to open awareness, the open awareness that is called the mysterious female. Women have many advantages in these kinds of things, and one of them is that they tend to be more receptive, more open. And so here we have in allegorical terms, the Valley Spirit not dying is called the mysterious female. The name for that open awareness is the mysterious female. We go to the next line. The opening of the mysterious female is called the root and heaven and earth. And here we have one of the most esoteric parts of the Tao Te Ching, where we're talking about the pivot from mundane reality into real reality, in which nothing is separate, everything works together, and there's unimpeded harmony. So in metaphorical terms, the way to get from the mundane world of objects and things to the world of let's just call it spirit for now, is through the opening of the mysterious female. Which is the root of heaven and earth, which we know from the prior chapters is called non-being. From non-being, heaven and earth emerge. So if you look at Genesis in the Christian tradition, or the Jewish or the Muslim tradition, they presuppose some substrate that God, then creates light for, and then divides into night and day, and so on and so forth. Here, they acknowledge the mystery, more so, and they just say that from non-being, from nothing comes something, and that from that non-being comes heaven and earth, the sky and the planet, or the universe and the stars. So I'm going to read those first 4 lines again. They're beautiful. The valley spirit not dying is called the mysterious female. The opening of the mysterious female is called the root of heaven and earth. So from that space, the opening of the mysterious female, from that emerges heaven and earth. It's a very, I mean, no pun intended, very pregnant image. Next and last line, continuous on the brink of existence, to put it into practice, don't try to force it. So this is these are recommendations on how to make the pivot, or how to get through the passageway from, say, relative to absolute reality. We'll just call it that for now. And it's through the way to get to the valley spirit is through the opening of the mysterious female. Now these are so rich with associations. I mean, this is very primal. The opening of the female and this valley spirit, which is open awareness, open, uncluttered, uncomplicated awareness. That's not going to die. And from that, so that's one image. The valley spirit not dying is called the mysterious female. So that's open awareness is called the mysterious female. The opening of the mysterious female is called the root of heaven and earth. Now we're into non-being, as we saw, I think, in the first chapter. And it's through the opening of non-being that we get to, it's so hard to find words for these things, to what we'll call open awareness, the source, the creative, God, the Tao, that from which everything arises. Of course, a mystery. And then we get into practical matters in the last 2 lines, continuous on the brink of existence, to put it into practice, don't try to force it. So as a practical matter, if you want to put this into practice in your life, if you want to use that open awareness, or if you want to get yourself to the opening of the mysterious female and get yourself to this non-being, this source of all things, to God, right? To Tao, to Allah, to the Nagual. Don't try to force it. None of this works by forcing. One cannot storm the gates of heaven. It's something that is bestowed. If one arranges one's mind and one's life in a certain way, then one is open and receptive to the descent of the valley spirit. That open awareness. Okay, so now we move to chapter 7. This chapter is called Heaven is Eternal. Heaven is Eternal. I should do this in between chapters. Okay, chapter 7. And it's entitled, Heaven is Eternal, Earth is Everlasting. Heaven is eternal, earth is everlasting. The reason they can be eternal and everlasting is that they do not foster themselves. That is why they can live forever. For this reason, sages put themselves last, and they were first. They excluded themselves, and they survived. Was it not by their very selflessness that they managed to fulfill themselves? Question mark. Let me read it one more time, and then we'll go through it line by line. Heaven is eternal, earth is everlasting. The reason they can be eternal and everlasting is that they do not foster themselves. That is why they can live forever. For this reason, sages put themselves last, and they were first, and excluded themselves, and they survived. Was it not by their very selflessness that they managed to fulfill themselves? So here we have a description, and then we have a prescription. All right, starting with the first line. Heaven is eternal, earth is everlasting. The reason they can be eternal and everlasting is that they do not foster themselves. That is why they can live forever. So when you foster yourself, you assert yourself into to the reality of whatever reality you want to talk about, but let's just talk about the mundane reality. If you foster yourself, you're going to assert yourself, and in asserting yourself, you're going to be subject to all kinds of things. In the social world, you'd be subject to the vicissitudes, the slings and arrows, the attacks of other people or other nations or other tribes. When you assert yourself, when you foster yourself beyond a certain point, what you're doing is you're accumulating more for yourself and leaving others with less, for example. This is just too rich, and it's stated vaguely, I'm sure, on purpose. But what they're saying here is, if you do not foster yourself, you will live longer. And they use that as and they draw a parallel between that and heaven and earth. Neither heaven nor earth particularly fosters themselves. There's no need for them to do that. The sky and the earth don't need to assert themselves. They already are. They exist. They're here, and they're not going anywhere. And by not fostering themselves, they live forever. That's the principle that's being stated here. And now we get to the pragmatic. The pragmatic, for this reason, sages put themselves last, and they were first. They excluded themselves, and they survived. So, again, this is for long-term reflection. But this is exactly in my mind anyway. It sounds exactly like Jesus in the Bible and others saying that the humble, the meek, the non-assertive, the ones who don't stick their heads up to get chopped off, the ones who are content with their lot, the ones who it's so anti-American that they're going to survive. They will inherit the earth. So Jesus said the meek shall inherit the earth, which I think the humble will inherit the earth is more likely to be understood. But here we have the Taoist sages putting themselves last, and they were first. And they excluded themselves, and they survived. So they didn't, let's say you're part of a political party, and you, we'll use political party because we don't have nation-state wars. Well, we do, but I don't want to get into them. Your party, roars into victory, and everybody's getting the spoils of their victory. They're getting the money, they're getting the fame, they're getting the notoriety, they're getting the title, they're getting all of these things. Of course, it won't be long before all of that goes away. And that kind of fame, that kind of power invariably leads to somebody wanting either to tear you down or to take away your power. Better to have an inner power, a power that connects you with the way of God, the way of nature, than to get involved in all that craziness, because those people invariably perish. And they just restated again, was it not by their very selflessness that they managed to fulfill themselves? And here's the other thing: it's much easier if you don't have an ego that you have to constantly feed with, with other people's approval, or with more money, or with a bigger house, or a more beautiful wife, or a fancier husband, or something like that. If you don't have to do any of that stuff, if you're not in that realm, and instead you're focused on selflessness, then the world becomes you. The trees become you. The birds become you. Everyone becomes you. You become part of a human and natural body, and existing in that body is infinitely better. I mean, infinitely less stressful. I'll just say, and better than just living for a tiny little imaginary self, which people tend to do. But again, I'm just scratching the surface of this. This is something that everyone has to read for themselves and contemplate for themselves, because it's going to read differently to you than it might, and it reads differently when you're 20 than it does when you're 30, and very different when you're 40 than when you're 30. And then when you're an old geezer like me, it reads completely differently. And so I'm just giving you a quick survey. But these chapters are very short. Okay, so now we'll go to chapter 8. This is a beautiful chapter. I think this one's pretty easy, and it's just, you just have to let the metaphor work with your mind. And I think it's just gorgeous. And unlike the others, I think it's easier to just to understand immediately. It's called Higher Good is Like Water. Higher good is like water. The good in water benefits all, and does so without contention. It rests where people dislike to be, so it is close to the way. Where it dwells becomes good ground. Profound is the good in its heart. Benevolent is the good it bestows. Goodness in words is trustworthiness. Goodness in government is order. Goodness in work is ability. Goodness in action is timeliness. But only by non-contention is there nothing extreme. Okay, so there's two sections here. In the first section, they talk about higher good and water, and use and the attributes of water. And then they get into descriptions of what goodness is, in both for a person and for a government, and for an employee, and for potentially an employer, but for all of us. So let me read it one more time, and then we'll go through it line by line. Higher good is like water. The good in water benefits all, and does so without contention. It rests where people dislike to be, and so it is close to the way. Where it dwells becomes good ground. Profound is the good in its heart. Benevolent, the good it bestows. Goodness in words is trustworthiness. Goodness in government is order. Goodness in work is ability. Goodness in action is timeliness. But only by non-contention is there nothing extreme. Okay, so as I was reading this, I'm realizing that they're using the qualities of water so in Taoism we use the most natural things to emblemise some of the most profound things. So here they're talking about what is higher good. We have philosophical debates about, what is the good, what is the best, what is what is virtue, all these intellectual things. But here in this beautiful poem, and each of these chapters is a poem, they say higher good is like water. Water benefits everybody, and it does so without contention. So you can have water. Water doesn't give you a problem. Water doesn't ask anything in return. Water is simple. It doesn't have all those complications. So higher good is like water. The good in water benefits all and does so without contention. So if you wanted to be good, this is what you would be like. You would benefit all, and you do it without contention. Furthermore, water rests where people dislike to be, so it is close to the way. The way has no use for being on the top penthouse in New York City, or having the fastest Lamborghini or whatever car you want to name in there on the road. It hangs out more like at the truck stops, on the byways where the normal people are. So it rests where people dislike to be, so it is close to the way. The way keeps itself low to the ground. It doesn't need to aggrandize itself. It's already aggrandized beyond anything we can possibly imagine, but it's very difficult for some people to see that. Okay, so going back to the water analogy and higher good. Where it dwells becomes good ground. Profound is the good in its heart. Benevolent is the good it bestows. So this is beautiful. If you wanted to know, what is the good, or what is higher good, or how can I be good? All of those are good questions. And here's an answer. Okay, we'll go back to the prior two lines. It rests where people dislike to be. So this could be with the homeless, or in prisons, or with the poor, or with the sick, or with the fishermen, when the things aren't going so well. It rests where people dislike to be, so it is close to the way. Now this is the gorgeous part, I think. Where it dwells becomes good ground. Profound is the good in its heart. Benevolent is the good it bestows. So like water can go to poor ground, and it becomes richer. It becomes good ground. And it speaks to by metaphor, allegory. It says water has a profound good in its heart. Its very nature is goodness. And the good that it bestows is benevolent. It's not malevolent, and it's not preachy, and it's not demanding. It's just simple goodness. Water is a beautiful, beautiful emblem of just simple goodness. That makes the ground good wherever it is, and it's not too proud to go to the lower places. Water goes to the lower places, including the valley spirit, I might add, to the valley. And it rests where people dislike to be, so it's close to the way. The way, the people don't like the way. They don't like that. No, they don't want that at all. They want something fancier. They want something that looks more expensive. They want something that's going to impress people more. But the way is not like that. But the way is immortal. Okay, last couple of sentences. No, actually, this is just a one-sentence treatise on goodness and how it operates. So this is what I mean by this book being so packed. So this is just advice for anybody, especially for young people. Well, maybe old people too. Okay, the people in the middle also. All right, here we go. This one deserves its own ding. Goodness in words is trustworthiness. Goodness in government is order. Goodness in work is ability. Goodness in action is timeliness. Goodness in words is trustworthiness. Goodness in government is order. Goodness in work is ability. Goodness in action is timeliness. Just that, wow. But only by non-contention is there nothing extreme. So this word non-contention is going to come up quite a bit because it's a way of being in the world. It's a way of being effective in the world. It's a way of surviving in the world, and it's a way of being something good for the world. So that word non-contention is going to come up over and over in this beautiful book. Okay, so we did chapters 6, 7, and 8. I got some comments for which I'm very, very grateful. That really helps me to know how to improve these, and it feels good to feel supported. So thank you. And also I'm open for questions or comments on X or what used to be Twitter or on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for listening.